reaching my goal. That's not particularly what I want to talk about today. Because the goal of my meditations is to turn the mind inward into a focus of that which is aware of it. My understanding of enlightenment, self-realization, whatever you want to call it, is to understand what you actually are. And when you understand what you actually are, desire falls, fear of death falls, and so to do that, you have to stop being attached to what you actually are. You have to be attached to what you think you are. And so the big thing there is think, right? Beliefs are thoughts which you think over and over and over and over again. And whenever you think something over and over and over and over again, it gains momentum. And when a thought gains momentum, it turns into emotion. And I like to think of emotion as an acronym for energy in motion, E-motion. And when that energy gets enough motion within you, or your emotions run high, you tend to act from those places. Even if they're subtle, you can still act emotionally. And whenever you act, the outside world responds accordingly. And if you keep thinking the same thought, cultivating the same energy, and acting it out, expressing it in a more dense form, then that energy is going to manifest outside of you. So the thought is the seed, and the physical manifestation of that thought, which you can interact with, is essentially the tree. And so you water those trees by thinking about them over and over and over again. And if you stop thinking certain thoughts, then over time the momentum slows down, and whatever you were thinking about ceases to be a part of your experience. Right? So if you're not very confident and you think that over and over and over and over again, you think, I am not confident, you're going to believe it. And your actions will, reflect that. You might eat a lot because eating gives you pleasure to get you away from that feeling of not being confident, but then you become fat. And that fat body of yours is derived from that thinking of, I am not confident, which led to that anxiety eating. Or, vice versa. Maybe you abstain from food, and because you're so stressed out, you become super, super skinny. But either or, your outside expression is just a reflection of what's going on internally. And same thing for, I am confident. That breeds going to the gym, exercise, healthy eating, talking with your chest out, spine upright. But even good thoughts are stimulating. Thinking itself is an issue, because it's stimulation of the mind. It's stimulation of the mind, putting its attention externally onto an object. Whether that object be thought, whether that object be an emotion, whether that object be something in the material world. And this is essentially noise. And once the noise is over, there is silence. And so who you believe yourself to be, what you believe yourself to be, is nothing more than reinforced thinking, habitual thinking. What is a belief? A thought that you think over and over and over and over again. It can manifest things outside of you, but it can also act as a veil over what is actually true. And so your perception of what is incorrect. And it causes suffering every single time. It causes misery every single time. If you have any suffering in your life, it's because you're not seeing things as they are. And I'm not saying this from someone who's gotten out. I'm saying this as someone who's trying to make it out and who's essentially regurgitating what those who have made it out say. So back to what I was saying about the mind. Thinking, putting any attention to an object, paying attention to emotions, or even cultivating emotions, is internal noise. And what happens when noise goes away? There is silence. So that is a pure mind, a silent, still mind. I'm sorry, as I'm talking, I keep bringing myself there. That piece. And I don't want to disturb it with talking, but the video must go on. Well, I mean, this is a great example, right? So, who I believe myself to be is JC. And JC has a desire to, quote unquote, wake people up. To get people out of their misery and come into ultimately permanent peace. But I can only give you what I have, and I don't have permanent peace yet, but I definitely have peace that's becoming more rooted into my being as my default state. And it might just become my only state. We'll see. And so desire is essentially thinking. And so desire can only exist from a place of believing that you are. Believing that I am. Because if you are, then that must mean you are separate. If you believe yourself to be this body, this identity, that means you are separate from the other bodies and the other identities around you. Meaning that there is potential to be unfulfilled. Because what is not whole is incomplete. And you will desire completeness. Or just, you will desire, period. And ultimately, you want anything. You want to think. You want to feel. You want things. Because you believe that you will be happier in having it, or you will be happier in doing so. Which in itself is a lie, because that means you are living through an expectation of something that has not happened yet, which is dangerous. That's that illusion. That's that false perception. And you are setting yourself up for failure. Anyway. Desire is noise, because desire is thinking, and thinking is noise, which makes the mind impure, because desire is outward. When you put the mind inward, into stillness, into peace, you want nothing. Hunger is thinking. Suffering, pain is thinking. Pleasure, happiness, sensual happiness is thinking. This might not click right away, but I advise that you pick up a meditative practice. One of the most simple and most effective is to sit with the spine upright or lay down as straight as you can be. And if you're laying down, let the arms and legs relax. By straight, I mean the spine. I want you to take inhales through the nostril, plural, from the stomach, deep into the stomach. Let the stomach go out. Let the diaphragm expand, meaning your lungs will fill up, which will expand the rib cage, slightly lift the shoulders. You don't do any of that, by the way. That naturally happens with diaphragmatic breathing. And what you do to perform the exhale is you simply let go, and you allow the contraction of your abdominal muscles, the contraction of the rib cage, and the weight of your shoulders shrink that diaphragm back down, and also pushing out the air. You don't have to do anything to perform the exhale. And the only thing you have to make sure happens is that the exhale is longer than the inhale. You can help aid this by a slight tensing of the throat, which allows the exhale to come out as kind of an E. Let me perform it for you. And one way to do that is to contract the muscles in your throat that you would normally contract when you're blowing air out of your mouth to fog up a mirror or to fog up a window. Do that upon your inhale and your exhale, and you should be able to naturally, without effort, add around a second or two into your breathing. So as your breathing reaches below 7 breaths per minute, and you're performing that diaphragmatic breathing that I shared earlier, you will still the mind. You will still the mind. And a still mind is pure. And a pure mind is needed to understand what you are. To understand that you are beyond what is observable. Because if there are things being observed, then that must mean there is an observer. However, that still gives the illusion of separation, because there's a belief that you are the observer. You must go one step further and understand that you are not only the observer and what is being observed, but you're also the space in which this experience is taking place. And once you understand that, you understand there's nothing to be scared of, because you are what is being observed, the observer, and the space in which this is taking place in. She'll also lose fear of death, because what comes and what goes must be observed, and what is observed takes place in a space and is observed by an observer, which is all one, meaning that the many forms that come and go are a part of that one. And you lose desire, because all that you can desire truthfully is you, because what you desire takes place in a space, and what you desire is observable. And what is observable and the one doing the observing are all one. And once you let go of these desires and just let what is shine through, it slowly but surely comes to you. And even as I'm doing this, I am melting into it, and I'm going to stop talking. This desire to share is a double-edged sword, because I help, but it keeps me separated. Keeps me believing I'm separate, and it keeps perpetuating the illusion that we are separate. Because if I need to help you guys, that makes not only me believe that I'm separate from you guys, but you guys believe that I'm separate from me. So I need to figure out how to navigate this. Okay, meditation done. Love you. Bye-bye.